buttonhole. It'll be so much easier. So here on top of my shorts, I could kind of just faintly make out the lines that I had, so I just went over them very lightly with my pencil so I could see them here now on the outside. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leverage the usage of our machine, which does a lot of the work for us. So this is the really great thing about having a machine that does buttonholes. If you have one of those like really great classic Singers, the ones that are 1950s or earlier, they have really fantastic little templates like you put them in and it like moves the fabric all around while it's doing it, and they make the most gorgeous buttonholes you've ever seen. But these machines also make very nice buttonholes. They're just very standard, very easy to do. So I'm going to show it on a little demo first. Yeah.
Are we finishing the other one?
We finished the bound buttonhole last class.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. If you have any questions, we can go over that too. Okay. But let me get through these and then we can come back around. So what we're going to do is on your machine, right here, we have a variety of these knobs, and there's this one right here, and this is the buttonhole knob. And what we're going to do is we're going to adjust our stitch length to 0. This is really important. And then what's really great is that we can just go around in sequence on this knob. So we just go 1, and you'll see everything changes on the machine. 2, 3. So as we go around, all the settings change for us. We don't have to touch anything else except this knob once we start sewing the buttonhole. So there's no need to adjust anything else, just this one. Okay. We start at 0 and we work our way around to 6. And I'm going to show you what happens right up here. So each turn of the knob will do a different thing. So if we have our little markings here for our buttonhole, what we'll do is we'll put the fabric in so that the first time the needle goes down, it goes down right here. So we line up our presser foot like this, and this is right in the center and we can see it. Make sense? When we stitch on 0, it's just going to put the needle down and straight up and down in the same place. So we just need to do that maybe 2 or 3 times. Essentially what it's doing is back stitching, but just in place. Okay. And then when we switch it to 1, it's going to go like this, down the left-hand side. We just keep this line right in the middle of our presser foot, and this will go down the side for us. Then when we turn it to 2, it's going to straight stitch up this side like this. What's really important is you just make sure that this straight stitch doesn't stray over on top of the stitching you've already done. Otherwise, when you're done, you won't be able to create a buttonhole, because what we're going to do at the end is we're going to slit right down the middle. So we need to make sure there's a little sliver of fabric there visible so we're not cutting any of the stitching we're doing. So that's 2. And then 3 is going to stitch from here to here, so back and forth like this. So we just need to do that 2 or 3 times. That creates sort of that end of the buttonhole. 1, 2, 3, and then 4 comes down like this, basically right over that straight stitching that you've done, nice and tight. And then 5 does the tacking at the bottom, so again only 3 or 4 times, no more than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 6 will just go in like that. So again, you're sort of your back stitch at the end. Okay. Yep.
So we're going to be adjusting it on here?
Yep, and I'll show you because we're going to do that here in a second.
What's the reasoning for like doing, you know how we backstitch using one? What's the difference between this one versus that one?
This is automatically doing it for you. Like it's just 0 and 6 are the back stitches. So we don't touch anything except for the buttonhole knob once we start doing buttonholes. Just don't touch anything else because the machine will do all the work for you. So it includes those.
Switch the dials on like other garments when they're doing this.
Huh?
Like, how come there's a difference from what I'm doing that? Like, so how come on like garments
Mhm.
we use the knob, like the up and down knob, versus like doing that way?
So if we switch it to this, first of all we have to turn our stitch length to 0 to set it, and then we would have to do this, and it back stitches in a certain place, and it just goes straight up and down. So it doesn't back stitch along the seam, so it's really not secure for a seam. It's secure for a zipper, for a buttonhole, because you have so much structure that you're building in through all the other stitching here. But if you just put the needle straight up and down a couple of times in the thread into the fabric, it would not be strong enough to hold a seam. So it's a lot faster when you're stitching a normal garment to just lift up that foot, let it go, drop it, let it continue. Much faster. Also much more secure. So, but they've just included this feature of doing the back stitch at the beginning and the end just to hold your threads. That's the only reason, so it doesn't unravel. So, yeah.
And what does step 0 do?
Just back stitch.
Could you say
Oh,
the
that's-
steps again, just real quick?
Yep.
0 backstitch.
So 0 does the little back stitch at the top.
Does that 1 do that? Oh wait, doesn't
Nope,
3 do
1
that?
comes down,
Oh,
2 goes straight up,
okay.
3 goes across, back and forth. 4 comes down the right side, 5 goes back and forth across the bottom, and then 6 goes in. So let me show you what that looks like in actuality. What we also want to do is we want to switch our foot here to foot number 3. You may remember this as the invisible zipper foot. It has the 2 grooves on the bottom. This is going to be really important because when you're stitching the buttonhole, there's 2 things. One, you need the larger visibility that the 3 provides you with. It's got a bigger opening right where the needle goes down, so you can really see your line of where you've marked your buttonhole. And 2, because it has the grooves underneath the bottom of the foot, this whole bulk of thread that you're creating here and that you're creating here will slide right in those grooves, and it'll help make your life a lot easier. So the 3 is really important to use for this. All right.
What buttonhole is this called?
This is just the machine buttonhole. That's it. Okay, so what I have here is the next buttonhole down. I have it marked out here. So I'm going to put it in the machine, and again, I'm going to put it in so that I mark it just a little bit more so I can see it nice and clearly. It's especially important to mark these end points, so where it ends here and where it ends here, so you know where to stop. So I'm going to put this guy in here.
And where do you start it?
So again, we want to line it up so that this line is right in the center, and that when we put down the needle the first time, it would go right on this line, the top line. So we'll start, I'm on 0. So I'm just going to go up and down a couple of times. That's it. You don't need to do any more than that. So 2 or 3 times is just fine. We're going to switch it to a 1 here. I am not all the way in a 0. There we go. Alright, and we stitch all the way until we hit this blue line here at the bottom. So when we hit the bottom of our buttonhole, then we stop. You want to make sure, of course, still that your needle is in the most upright position before you turn the knob. So once it's all the way up, I'll turn the knob to 2. Now it's going back up the other side.
So do we have to move the fabric around or just switch it to
Nope,
the-
this is the great thing about the machine done buttonhole is that the only thing you touch is the knob. You don't change anything else and you just let it go through.
Okay.
So now I'll change it to 3. It's going to go across the top here. So we just want to do that a couple of times. You don't want to do the end ones too much because then it'll create too much bulk and you won't be able to go back the other way. Change it to the 4.
2 is just the straight line up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then I'll change it to the 5. That'll tack across the bottom. And then 6, up and down a couple of times, and that's it.
And 4 is the zigzag going down.
Yep.
How long should we do for 3 and 5? Is it just one once?
For 3 and 5, so at the top
Yeah.
and the bottom. You'll do those 2 or 3 times. And you can see where I didn't have it quite all the way on 0. It's just a little bit too long. So you want to make sure that your stitch length is exactly on 0 when you get started. So even if it's at like a quarter, it'll be a little too gappy right there. Okay.
Split it open.
Yep. So now I have my my little buttonhole sewn right there. So you can see it there, and you can see the little area where I didn't have my 1 yet. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to slit that little sliver of fabric right between. So let's get that started, and then I'll put my scissors in there and snip all the way to the end here.
So do we need to set that on the fashion fabric side or on the other side?
You'll probably want to do it on the fashion fabric side because you have a little more control.
Does it matter if we do it on the other side?
It doesn't. For me, I'm using obviously 2 different threads. So for me it would matter, but if you're using the same color on both sides, it does not matter. Now once you have that slit open, you can see right there, I can poke my fingernail through. You'll need to kind of get rid of all of these little extra threads that are right here. Sometimes if I'm doing a lot of machine worked buttonholes, what I'll do is use a little bit of fray check product before I slit them open to kind of help prevent all these little excess little ugly frays that happen right there. So that's definitely an option. But there we go, we have a nice little machine buttonhole, and again the machine's done all the work for us, which is really fantastic. So once you start with the buttonhole, you just turn the knob and nothing else.
Could we have done that for the other button? Would it have worked for the other button too? The shank button to create that button?
So whatever kind of button you have, whether it's shank or not shank, you can use any variety of methods to create the buttonhole because those are 2 separate phenomena. And we'll talk about shank and non-shank here in a second when we put them on.